Hello, everybody. My name is Tom Barrett.
Are you going to introduce yourself?
I'm fine to crack on if you want. Time's ticking, Hamish, you know.
That's
it's not my first time. I work for a little company called Notosh, and we do consultancy with schools. I'm a former primary school teacher. Used to work in the UK, and I'm pleased to say that this is my first TeachMeet in Australia since moving in January. So I'm living over in Ballarat now, so I'm a fully fledged member. I'm going to be talking to you about one of our projects back in Scotland. This is Edinburgh Castle, and fitting with our theme tonight is going to be talking about heritage learning. And we were asked by a group called Historic Scotland. So Historic Scotland are a kind of government organisation who own every one of the historic sites right across Scotland. So they own all the castles and all the battlefields, etc. And they asked us to look at the feasibility of exploring technology within Stirling Castle, actually installing it, a very technology-rich learning space within Stirling Castle. This is Edinburgh Castle, in fact. But has anyone been to Edinburgh or been to Stirling Castle? Yeah, have you ever been to these places? Incredible, aren't they? And I love to be able to stand in those places and kind of feel kind of history sort of having this impact on me, even just by standing still. But it's quite a challenge to install Wi-Fi with kind of 12th century rules. So we had to face that one down. And so the question was, how feasible is it to install and to explore a very technology-rich environment in a 12th century building? And they basically just asked us that question, you know, can we actually do that? And obviously the answer is yes. We kind of did a little bit more than just saying yes to them in terms of our kind of response. Actually what we did, we recognized that there is a big challenge regarding the pedagogy in terms of heritage learning and how traditional that model of learning is. So think about the schools that visit, think about the places here, think about the heritage sites or the excursions that you do to a particular place. And you know, when have they refreshed their pedagogy? And no doubt there are exceptions to the rule, but Historic Scotland really have struggled with moving their pedagogy on as well. So in one foul swoop, we said, yes, you can certainly install things, and it will be tricky with the Wi-Fi, but I'm sure we'll manage it, and we could buy loads of stuff. But more interestingly, how is the pedagogy going to be changing? And so we asked a question about heritage learning and how it could be shifted. And so this is in the Great Hall of Stirling Castle, a fascinating place. And so to begin with, Peter Ford, now my colleague at Notosh, we spent some time just being a participant in that experience. So we kind of immersed ourselves in that world. We became the visitor, the kind of secret shopper type of thing, you know, that sort of scenario. And it was amazingly painful to be on those tours, those knowledge deficit model tours, you know. This person is an expert, and he has clearly got his story down, you know, to a T, and he's going to tell that story. You know, and you are definitely going to come along with him all the way around the castle. So I was like dutifully just listening and taking it in, and it was like an hour-long tour. So we were with some families and some children as well, and so we kind of trotted around the castle to various points. He kind of herded us into different parts of it, and each point obviously told us things that he knew. Obviously, we didn't know those things, nor could I have ever found those things out online or anything. And so the knowledge deficit model was a resounding, something that was quite resounding with regard to the model of learning that they used. So we started to challenge that model, and it's been fascinating listening to you talking today. A lot of people talking about curiosity, a lot of people talking about an inquiring approach, and you know, encouraging. I mean, I believe that children's curiosity when they come to these places is a natural thing, and and what often happens is they get steered and funneled into one way of doing it, which is often a very traditional approach to learning. And so rather than children just coming and being these sort of vessels that we fill up with stuff and then they're on their way, or they might get a piece of paper and do a rubbing of something around the castle, which generally happens, or they have a clipboard and they have to go and find different things. You know, what we wanted them was to be creators in this space. So we've worked with the learning services team right across Historic Scotland and talked to them about using a design thinking approach to inquiry, and essentially just looking at inquiry as a leading factor within what they're doing, shifting children away from being consumers of knowledge to being creators on site, and actually challenged all of those traditional things that you think about with these places, not just a visiting once every year, but why do we have only one visit every year? Why don't we not have an ongoing relationship with groups of kind of learners? So this is the learning space that we've kind of built, and these guys are all going through sort of some design thinking methodology and work that we do with them. And my title of my talk was, it kind of came out of some work that we did with the teachers about setting up a broad topic of inquiry or something to explore. And it was interesting, again, the kind of reference to, you could Google that, so why do we bother? And it's very much that sort of distinction between higher order exploration and in sort of inquiry that's deeper. So the Googleable, non-Googleable kind of type of sort of distinction. And we were seeking out those deep inquiry sort of topics that, you know, students coming to the castle could actually explore. So, you know, you can't defend the castle with a loaf of bread was the provocative statement that, you know, students might be presented with and have to kind of figure out whether that's something that they believe or that they don't, and, you know, obviously to work out why, rather than just being fed the usual dates and the people and the kings and queens, etc. So we used a design thinking methodology with schools, and they became creators on site. So they used the technology which we were able to kind of install there, and we got around the Wi-Fi problems eventually and dug up 12th century buildings and things. It's very tricky with planning, you know. It's like the whole of Scotland's history kind of in those walls. And they became creators of it. They explored those broad topics. They were using their environment to, you know, seek different spaces rather than just being sort of trotted around on a particular tour. This is real early work still, but I think that there's a massive opportunity for a group like Historic Scotland and for heritage learning in the broadest sense to be looking at realigning the way that they approach learning to something that puts the onus on children in terms of being a creator rather than just being somebody who simply consumes dates and facts. So it's been a fascinating study. There's tons more on our site. It would be great to kind of hear from any of you if you have any further interest in it. Okay, so thanks very much. Thanks.